all of this could be irrelevant if we believe the zealots that are selling automatic bidding or automatic buying, that we won't have a need for...
What's it called?
That's not true.
Automatic buying. Yeah, look. But I mean,
Programmatic, automated.
Automated.
You know,
automated.
Tony. We know you know about it, Tony.
Automated buying. So what is the impact that that's having, for instance, on agencies? And then we'll cover the media.
So I feel like we're talking about a few things here, but let's talk about that for a minute. The opportunity to create more time in an agency, to spend more time thinking about clients and creating brilliant and great ideas for those clients is absolutely there through if we can automate some of the more basic processes. Computers are really good at doing computer-style things that humans aren't that great at. That's why we made them in the first place. So the piece of our business that we can commoditise and we can process quickly, let's move it over there. Let's just make sure that all the people we've got, that we retain them and they don't just become a cost efficiency, and that we put those people onto those client ideas, delivering great work. It's a great opportunity for us to actually do more thinking for our clients and less doing. And this speaks to the thing that I think we're sort of dancing around, which is the future of the media agency, actually. And I think that's quite important in this process. Clients will be clients. There will always be people selling media, but the agency in the middle has an opportunity to evolve. And truthfully, I think that's about a polarisation of agencies. You will have agencies that sit in this space over here, being much more strategic and creative and building communications platforms, and agencies down here, down sounds unkind, but agencies over here who are fundamentally processing volumes of airtime. And that's about commoditising the bit that can be commoditised. That, I think, is a really interesting future model for our business, and one we're moving towards anyway.
And for that to work, you also need the media owners to put their inventory into that system, and that's where there's been the reluctance before. Digital, of course, being a little different in that area.
And if you can build efficiencies into that, and you can build better data systems at the back, and get better visibility of what isn't effective, then actually those media owners that do put their media there where it is effective will be rewarded.
The problem is most of that media, by its nature, is standard units. Leaderboards, MREX, and I'm of the opinion there's far better ways to activate audiences than those components. So yes, we might get some benefit with programmatic and automation, but it's actually not the best way to market, in my opinion.
I agree with that right now. I suspect that there's an opportunity in the future to set your sort of 40% of your media investment that you know is going to be there, and then you can do more intelligent, more interesting, and more engaging things with the rest of it up here. And I think that's really what I'm talking about.
I'd actually be quite alarmed if we ended up with two different kinds of agencies working for me to move our brands on. I don't want people that can think over here and that people can optimise data over here. I actually want those conversations to be running together. So that would worry me. But I am very excited about the opportunity in programmatic buying. We don't intend to spend any less money on media over time. We want to spend more money on media. We want to keep our, media investment to kind of revenue ratios absolutely the same. But we can grow the amount of media that we're putting into the market if we find more efficient ways of doing it. And this is an excellent opportunity to do that. More effective targeting at better pricing makes a whole lot of sense. But I think maybe the gap at the moment, put the concern around how the money's being made and whether clients are getting all the benefit out of that efficiency, we'll put that over there. But the concern I'd have is around how people, have we got the skills and talent to actually do the optimizations that are required with these systems at the moment? Are we applying the understanding around data to the buyers in the right way? So that would be my concern. I think there's a journey to go on for all of us there.
It gets back to that point though, with all the tools, whether it's automated bidding, whether it's the optimisation tools, whatever it might be, you've still got to have people who know how to use those tools effectively, and that still comes back to that one issue, making sure that we have people who can manage this new technology coming through and be effective for the guys who pay the bills at the end of the day and work with the publisher and all that around. You've got to get these people in place.
So it's interesting that to your point, Toby, about automating the mundane, we're talking about automating the buying of media, but the actual processing of invoices is still done manually. This is one of the issues. There's lots of issues for the media to address as an industry, but even the simplest things don't seem to get any traction. Why, Tony? Why do you think there's so many issues? Too many players? Too many stakeholders?
I might throw a new issue in if you like.
Okay.
The biggest issue I think we've got going at the moment is the fact that my two friends at the end of the table
are probably losing some of their hand in the boardroom or on the executive table because marketing as a function is not understood by the CFOs and broader organisations, and it's probably people like you, Darren, and your shitty bloody auditing that you've been doing for the last 2 years that have created a dynamic of...
2 years? I think
It's been longer. It's been a lot longer.
Yeah, a lot longer.
Trust me, it's longer.
Yeah, that have created a dynamic where, you know, marketing's not well understood by lots of the people that need to say, you know what, marketing is important for brand growth, marketing is important to grow our audience, it's important to grow sales. So to me, that's probably the biggest issue going around, is how we get marketing in the boardrooms and marketing executives back onto the executive management teams.
Well, I think the Australian Institute of Marketing has just released a document on that through Deloitte. Probably worthwhile having
Have
a
you
look at
tweeted
that.
it?
Sorry?
Have you
yes,
tweeted
I have actually.
Oh. So I must read your tweets.
You need to pay closer attention. One of the big issues is fragmentation, and that's led to complexity and also volume of work. So some of that is underpinning a lot of this discussion, because there is now more options and more volume going through in consideration. So how's that impacting, Chris, for instance, around resourcing and remuneration?
It's very hard. It's getting harder. But as I said earlier, it's just the world we've got to deal with. It's you can't have specialists as such these days across all these things because of the remuneration structures we've got. So making sure that we've got people who can manage the different bits and pieces that we've got to deal with each day is getting harder and harder. But that is the world we deal with. So we've got to make sure that we bundle it in a way that does get the result that everyone wants. The media fragmentation is a huge issue, but at the same point it gets back to having the people who've got the desire and the tenacity to manage all that, to learn about all that. As I said, it's just our world these days.
Hard to make a buck, huh?
I think there
A lot
could be-
harder now than it used to be.
I think there could be some opportunity to have some systems around, say, basic communication. You know, as a publisher, in every day, how many hours are spent sending emails saying, "Can I have an update?" or, you know, phone calls. There's got to be some simple wins which would just immediately introduce a lot of efficiency into the process, where it's not adding any value or this churn and friction.
I agree, this debate is being had here, it's not being had anywhere else where that can reach any conclusion or there can be any conversations about how it gets resolved. So how does someone like the AANA and the MFA get together with some representative body for some media owners to think about how actually some of these issues can be resolved? The new normal changes every single day, and there's more complexity every single day. So we need to be more prepared for that in the future. So you know, change will never be so slow again, right? Is the classic statement. It's utterly right. So unless we're prepared and thinking about what offerings we've got in the future, we won't be relevant.
Who's actually going to drive solutions here? I mean, is it the sellers? Is it the buyers? Is it the agency? And the belief is that the seller sets the price, the buyer sets the terms. Or do you go the golden rule, which is the person with the gold makes the rules? Where is change going to come?
I mean, collaboration, buzzword's still key, but I think it does start where the money is. And if you get a good brief from a client and the agency then writes a good brief for the media, then you're going to get a great outcome. And certainly we do benchmarking internally, and what's interesting we find is that the agencies that give us the best briefs are the agencies that are winning the most business, and the agencies that are seen to be the most profitable, the agencies that give us shitty briefs are the ones that are losing clients and having some more fundamental issues with their business. So it's about the briefing process, but you know, it's always going to be a collaboration of a sort. You know, the media agencies bring so much expertise and can pull in all the different strands, but each of the media owners has, you know, a far more intimate knowledge of their own brands and their own audiences that they can bring to the table. But as I say, I think it starts where the gold is, with a great brief from the client.
At the start of the day, that's where the brief begins. That's what the agencies and the suppliers develop the solutions around. Without a clear brief, geez, a lot of time gets wasted, things get overcomplicated, everyone gets unhappy and the pressure, and we don't get the result we want. So I think it does get back to the point. Disciplines start to fall down at a client level, and then that flows all the way through when those pressures come into play. And someone's got to take a deep breath and get back to writing very clear, concise briefs. These guys might do it, as I said, I've not worked with them, but I can tell you now, in recent years, the number of good, comprehensive briefs I've seen, you can count on one hand.
I think Zac has some really interesting insights on the quality of the briefs that are coming through at the coalface as well. I mean, he tells me it's either a 30-page brief or it's a two-liner.
Due tomorrow.
Yeah.
Which you know, as you're saying, Chris, this is the deal. You just got to respond and go with it. But you know, there's got to be better ways to activate audiences than responding for something, you know, which is so time pressured.
Yeah.
And that is, in our experience, we're a lot smaller, but that's the norm. You know, they're very poor briefs.
So do you think, so the comparison of those two briefs, the 30-page and the 2-pager due tomorrow, the 2-liner due tomorrow, do you do much better work for the 30-pager?
They're both due tomorrow, by the way.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
But
just
that's
recently,
the opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Because then the solutions, the work that comes through for the client, will be much better here. So good behaviour is reinforced by great work coming through, right?
Well, recently we had a great experience with an agency in Melbourne, with a large company, had a whole strategy. We got bought through the whole process, and we did stuff we were really proud of. Got some great ideas, and I know they got excellent stuff from all the publishers they briefed. But there was a good long window that you could work towards it, and so that's a really, you know, if you go through the proper process, you're getting great stuff out. You know, I suppose it's the same the other way around, only not quite as bad.
Change needs to come from everywhere. It needs to be an integrated, collaborative approach, and I don't think you can rest your laurels on one person or one sector. It needs to come from client, agency, supplier, and all working together for the greater good.